How did you end up, getting into real estate? I know you did a little bit of forex.
Yeah.
Now you're here in high ticket sales.
So this is the crazy thing. My first appointment that I got, the first actual appointment set was like, okay, we're gonna come and we're gonna discuss how to sell it. I called the guy. He owned a property worth $40 million.
Wondering, did you have any sales training with real estate, or did you just like jump into the fire?
Anybody can make 10K a month as a salesperson, but how do you get to like the 20, 30K a month?
What's up, guys? I'm here with Ali. I'm here with Amaan.
Yo.
What's going on?
We told Ali to come in. We started working together, like a month and a half ago now, 2 months ago?
Yeah, I think it was the 27th of June. 27th of June we started.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, Ali just started working with us, pretty short time ago, and in that time you trained hard. You hopped on an offer and you brought in 50K in sales your first month on the phone.
Yeah.
With basically no prior high ticket sales experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you have sales experience in other spaces. Like you've tried other shit before. You're local, far. So we wanted to bring you on, have a conversation, get to know more about your story. Kind of how you were able to see the kind of result you're seeing now so quick, and definitely going to be talking about what's next as well. So let's jump in. Ali, why don't you just kind of start off with a little bit of background on yourself and kind of where you were at before you got into high ticket, and kind of why you even reached out in the first place.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Misha and Amaan. So I guess I can kind of just tell you, already, I told you I've been in sales for a long time. Without getting too deep, the first real sales job that I was just talking to Amaan about it, was, so I was in university, and this guy approached me. He's like, you ever watched the movie Yes Man by Jim Carrey?
No.
It's like this guy, he's just like, the movie's literally him saying yes to everything.
Okay.
That was his thing. So I was like in that mode, because I was like just not confident about myself, nothing. I was like, I gotta change, So I was like just saying yes. This guy comes up, he's like, yo, you want a job? I'm like, yeah. I didn't want to do it. Every part of my body was like, no. He's like, I don't want to do it. But I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, come. Yeah, he's like, come, we're doing interviews. So I went, I got an interview, got hired. He's like, we're selling credit cards at Canadian Tire. Okay. So if Canadians will know what Canadian Tire is, but basically, I was at a gas station approaching people, trying to sell them the credit card. Okay. So that was my first sales job. How
old were you when you got this job?
Probably like 18, 19. I don't remember exactly, but it was my first real commission only. Before that, I was making shawarmas, of course. Fucking look at me. But yeah, that was my first real sales job. Completely changed me as a person.
In what way?
I'll give you a good example. I remember the first time this one guy told me to F off. I don't know. We can't swear on this podcast. Probably.
Bro, swear, bro.
Yeah,
swear,
so this guy told me to fuck off. The first guy. Bro, I remember when he said that to me, I went into the bathroom for 20 minutes to compose myself. Because it hurt me, man. It hurt me. The first time I was like, bro,
how could he say this to me?
And this is like when you're walking out of Canadian Tire, like you're the guy chasing them down. Hey, before you leave, credit card. Got
no. I was at the gas station. I was literally at the gas station. So I was at the gas station. So I was chilling in the gas station with the guys in the gas station that work there. And literally when someone would come, pull in while they're filling up their gas, I'm approaching them with my little fucking iPad, and I'm trying to get them to sign up. And, you got to do a credit check, and sometimes they won't even get approved. So I'll spend 20 minutes with them, and I'm like, sorry, man, you didn't even get approved. So that was the first thing. But I remember the first guy, he told me to fuck off, and I remember just how much it hurt me the first time. I was super thin-skinned. I couldn't take a joke. I was very sensitive growing up, always just not being able to take shit. So that was the first time I had to take it, and I couldn't be myself. I had to go and compose myself, and then.
Why do you think, real quick, because I can definitely relate to that a lot too, where when I was, even my first sales job, I was 14, 15 in a call center. I remember I did some door-to-door in high school, but I was never I never really felt naturally built for sales. You know what I mean? Like they always say, the people who are super outgoing and super charismatic, right? Those oh, you'd be perfect for sales, right? That wasn't really me. Why do you? And it sounds like you relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think you took that job in the first place?
Without getting too deep, bro, I just there's people that you admire, right? There's people that you look up to and you admire in life, and you kind of want to be like them. and you're like, you start to, you know, like some people that put me on the right path was like even someone like Jordan Peterson, you know, another Canadian guy, and he was saying, he's like, you just gotta do shit that's like, the only way to grow is to go after the uncomfortable stuff. So I was literally just in a point in my life where I was doing everything uncomfortable. So like any job opportunity I would get, I was like picking up garbage. I was in a garbage truck for a little bit. I was just like doing everything that I could to grow as a person, because I realized that I'm on my own.
I love that.
Like I realized that I have nobody. Like I used to have a mindset of like my parents will help me out, this. But I realized that's not gonna happen. I'm fully on my own, and I felt like I was like I felt like I was behind in my personality, you know, because I was very like just not the kind of person that you'd respect, you know.
Right,
I didn't respect myself, and I wanted to respect myself. So, and I didn't know where it would take me. I just did it. Those experiences came in over time. I was not an outgoing person at all. I'm still very introverted. Like I like to be, I like my alone time. I don't like to be surrounded by people all day. But that's like, it's like what you said, you know, the reason why you're so good at this is because I'm sure you have built up those scars. You know what I mean? Like you built up those from that experience of like the first guy.
Yeah.
The second time the guy told me, the second time the guy swore at me, didn't hurt as much. The third time I was like, okay, next guy. After 10 times, it's like, okay, next. You don't even think about it anymore. So you're just building up that tolerance and that ability, you know?
And that I don't know if it was conscious or unconscious, but it seems like that's what started really your path to self-development and
Just growth
self-improvement.
in general, yeah. Yeah,
And
just
I
growth.
feel like that yes man mentality, it's important at a certain extent of your journey, because you need to say yes to opportunities that force you to step out of the comfort zone. Now, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, don't say yes to everything and anything, but it's like the ones that you're scared of, the ones that you're a little bit anxious and nervous around, it's like, that's a calling. Hey, I need to do this.
Dude, everybody knows. That's why I don't believe that anyone can't do anything.
For
Like
sure.
everybody knows in their life exactly what they have to do, because it's the thing that they're not doing that they know they need to do. So there's no such thing as like you're stuck, or it's like, you know. That's why it's like self-development, whatever those words are. But like everybody knows what they need to do. It's just about deciding to fucking do it and not be,
Yeah.
you know, just do it. No, you know what you need to do. Nobody's gonna figure it out for you.
Nobody's going to save you,
Yeah.
like you
And
mentioned.
And
gonna-
what's crazy is that like people will be like broke, busted, and disgusted, like just in a terrible fucking position in their life. But then it's like the first step is what they'll take years to even take, you know? Where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know what to do, I don't know if it's the right thing for me, I don't know if it aligns, blah 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 blah. But it's like it's exactly what you said, right? I think confidence really and your identity and the way that you shape yourself, it comes from pushing yourself to do hard things, right?
Yeah.
And the more that you put yourself in those situations, you know, the higher your confidence grows and your confidence in yourself that, you know, you can actually go out and get what you want. Right?
Well, you summarized it perfectly in a lot of the calls that you have with the team. You just say get comfortable getting uncomfortable. It's like you don't have to not be uncomfortable. Like I don't do podcasts. I'm uncomfortable on a podcast, but I'm okay with being uncomfortable. Like I can survive. I don't crumble in discomfort. You know what I mean?
love that.
So for you, like I guess so that was your first sales job, right? How did you end up, you know, getting into real estate? I know you did a little bit of forex.
Yeah.
Now you're here in high ticket sales. Like, what was kind of the path from there? Did you finish school, by the way?
I did finish school. Didn't learn anything from it, to be honest. I'm trying to think of something I learned.
You blank face.
Yeah,
What
I'm
was your
try-
degree?
BBA, business, Bachelor of Business Administration. See, I swear to God, I barely like remember high school.
Hold up. Laurier?
Guelph Humber.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took the same program at Laurier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's like the standard.
Right.
You know, if you go there, most people that go there end up to like, doesn't really get you a job. You know, like you got to end
Yeah.
up doing something in
Just
sales.
go there to get a degree.
Yeah, like the way I started in real estate was funny, because that's the thing with taking opportunities when they come, because you don't know where it will lead you. So the way I got initially my contact with the real estate was I had to do a co-op.
Okay.
So a co-op is like I had to volunteer somewhere for free for 40 hours,
Like
whatever.
an internship.
Yeah, and I had a friend.
Unpaid.
I had a friend of mine that was a realtor, and I knew he was like easy about it. It wasn't gonna be like corporate, nothing.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"Yo, come, like I'll sign your hours, help me out." And he was a realtor, and at the time he was just starting. Now he's probably the #1 realtor in Toronto. Yeah, he's probably the number one realtor in Toronto. Tyler McClay. That's who I originally interned for, and I was like, it kind of opened my door. I'm like there was I think the World Cup was at the time, and he
Okay.
like took some time off to watch the World Cup, and I was like, but he's at work, he's supposed to be at work right now, but he's watching the World. So I realized like there's like an entrepreneurial side to
Right.
to like sales where you can have time to do the things you want to do, and that's basically years down the line. Got into real estate, killed it in real estate, had a great few years, and then now I'm here.
Okay. So how did that transition happen, going from crushing it in real estate to, even getting into high ticket sales? Like, what have the last couple of years been like for you?
Yeah, so my first year in real estate was during COVID. My real estate start was interesting because I had a really fast start, like really really fast.
I mean, you
think
got in at the perfect timing.
got in at the
Were you-
perfect time.
Were you like right after COVID hit, you got into it?
So
or before?
I was already working on my license. I was at TD, and I hated it at TD. So I was working on my license. I was like, I don't want to do this TD shit forever, and got my license at the time. I'm trying to remember the timeline exactly, but got my license 2019. So literally like a month after COVID.
Okay.
And this was, at the time, it seemed like the worst time possible to get into real estate because the typical ways of like new guys starting was like open houses, things that like prospecting, things that you couldn't do. So it seemed like a curse, but I was like I was so like obsessed with just, and I just had such a, like, my mentality was like, I'm going to go for the biggest thing possible. I don't care, even if it fails or not. So I was literally cold calling like people that owned like $10 million properties, like $20 million
Nice.
properties. And my first sale was for a piece of land for $7.5 million. That was my first sale in real estate.
Okay.
And
Bang.
yeah. That was my first real estate sale. The way it worked was I would call these people, and then I finally got it. So this is the crazy thing. My first appointment that I got, the first actual appointment set, was like, okay, we're gonna come and we're gonna discuss how to sell it. I called the guy. He owned a property worth $40 million.
Okay.
So I had the appointment booked, and I'm like, fuck, man, what am I gonna do with this? I don't know nothing about this shit, right? So I knew this guy. Shout out John Paulo. Like, I was working with. I knew him. He was very well connected and stuff. I'm like, yo, I got an appointment with this guy. I know you understand like land development stuff like that. Like, come with me. Like, come help me close this guy, because I don't know nothing about. Like, I need knowledge.
Right.
So that's how him and my partnership kind of began. And since then, we did. That's just the formula we followed. We didn't get that $40 million piece of land, but eventually we did, in the span of 4 years, over 20 mil. I'm gonna say between 20 and 25 mil.
Nice.
And then so it was really good for the first few years. This year was kind of, I was being really lazy this year. I didn't really have the
Why?
drive that I usually have. And
Why
I
do
was
you think
kind of
that was?
being, I was blaming the market a lot. I was saying, oh, it's the market. The moment I decided it's me, and I'm like, something's wrong. I'm not the type of guy that's lazy, but I'm feeling lazy. Maybe I should try something else. Because I was never like, super passionate about real estate. I was just kind of doing it for the money. But the moment I decided to blame myself was when I stumbled upon high ticket sales, and I just fell in love with the concept, because you just focus on closing the deal. There's no prospecting, meeting up, showing them a bunch of places. The sales process was show up, do what you do best, and get paid. So.
But it's almost necessary to go through that long sales cycle, because I doubt you'd have the appreciation, gratitude, or same determination and grit that you have now on the phones if you didn't go through all that BS with real estate, the long sales cycle, the
Yeah.
cold calling, the prospecting. Now waking up, seeing calls on your calendar and closing them, it's like, this is what I'm built to do, but what built you was, the past 4 years in real estate.
Dude, it was like sometimes the longest sales cycle for me was 2 years. Like, I was following up with this guy every month for 2 years. We showed up to his property once because I had the buyer set up. The buyer's like, I want this piece.
Right.
So it was like we already had half the equation done. So we were so determined. We'd show up with the offer. He'd tell us to leave. But eventually, when he decided he wanted to sell, he's like, yeah, these guys been chasing me. So they're like, So yeah, I definitely agree. I super appreciate, like, grateful for when a client shows up in front of me, get the deal done right away. Like, it's awesome. I love
So,
it.
so let me ask you this, because I think at the end of the day, like winners win, you know, and like I think if you crush it in any type of sales environment, you'll crush it in any other sales environment, right? In most cases, I think, right? And even like outside of sales, right? People who crush it in sports and business, whatever, you know, you put them in an opportunity where your income is in proportion to your output and your production, you're gonna win, right? So like, what do you think? Were there any like skills that you picked up in real estate that you feel like serve you for high ticket sales? Obviously, it's a different type of a sale, but like, is there anything that comes to mind?
Um, I would say, like, you kind of start to realize things when you get deals done, and you ask for. I always ask for feedback. So, the first guy that I sold his property, so we double ended it. We got the buyer and the seller. So the seller was like, he's like this old man, but like the coolest 65-year-old you'll ever meet in your life. Like the coolest guy. He has like a bored ape, you know the bored ape.
Okay.
He's like he trades. You know the
Nice.
bored ape shit. I don't know. I don't want to sound like crazy,
Yeah.
but like he was like he's just like
65-year-old.
he owned an
crypto
art
DJ.
gallery. Yeah, yeah. So when we did the deal, he invited us to his art gallery.
Nice.
He owns like an art gallery, and he was like such a cool guy, you know. Fucking my buddy bought a meteor off him for $4,000. So that's the kind of shit that he had his art gallery. But anyways, I asked him. I was like, so what made you decide when I called you? Like, why'd you decide to meet up with us?
Mm-hmm.
Because you told me you get called like 10 times a week because it's available. His information's there, and he's getting cold calls all the time. And he told me, he's like, I don't know, man. Like when you talk to me on the phone, I just liked you. He's like, I just liked your voice. I like the way you're talking to me. I was like, I want to meet this guy. And that's when I realized, like, it goes back to what you say, right? You're like, people buy from you because they like you or they want to be like you. So sales is actually a very, very simple thing at the end of the day. And, it's simple. It's about just being a likable person and being good at what you do, I guess, right?
I think it's very easy to overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
very, very easy to start thinking about, a
Yeah.
million different strategies and like, yeah, sure. But like, we were just talking about this the other day, right? Like, when it comes to all the tactical, right? When it comes to all of, the questions that you're asking and the positioning and the framing and, certain things that you can do on a sales call, like all of that doesn't mean anything if you're not a cool person at the end of the day. If your intentions aren't there, if you're not good energy, high confidence,
Yeah.
like if that base isn't there, then everything else, like you can just completely ignore. You're not going to be able to do well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I agree, but because just in general, you're a very easygoing person. You're very easy to talk to, and like, yeah, at the end of the day, no matter what kind of sales you're doing, like people can go buy the same shit from someone else. There's a million different people selling the same stuff, but it's like people buy people, right?
Yeah.
Not whatever it is that you're selling. So
Quick question,
that's cool.
Ali. Wondering, did you have any sales training with real estate, or did you just like jump into the fire?
Dude, I had nothing. I had no sales training. I literally didn't even go to I went to the office for the first 2 weeks, and then I probably didn't go to the office for another year because
Okay.
I felt a little bit like I was a little bit upset because I would approach people for help, and I kind of felt like nobody was really helped. I was like kind of hoping somebody would help me out. That's why I respect. I mentioned John Paulo because he was like this really busy guy. He was one of the more successful guys in the firm, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Yo, man, like I don't know what to do. Like, you mind?" Like, he's like, "Yeah, let's grab a coffee." It's like he gave me the time of the day when nobody else really gave. Some other people did too. He gave me the time of day when he was already really successful, and that developed into something. But in terms of training or stuff like that, like actually I did do training. I'm trying to remember. I did do training. I had a mentorship with what was his name? Tom Ferry.
Okay.
Tom Ferry. You know who Tom Ferry is? So a mentorship, just like this. I remember I did a coaching mentorship, and they kind of just gave me a blueprint, prospect. It's pretty simple. It's all sales is simple all around. Like prospect, meet them, close them. Not that complicated.
So
So I
nothing
did-
like tactical, nothing like strategic, just more so like overall bird's eye view training.
like what to say on the phone script, door knocking script, listing presentation script. But the way we did everything was so unorthodox that like it's hard to. That's why I kind of forgot about it, because it's hard to. Like I was getting the training, but I was learning from my partner that I was working with, and he was like all about the simple things. Like for example, any meeting we'd go to, he'd bring cannolis. He's Italian. He'd bring cannolis to every meeting, and
It's a fucking
I was like, bro,
great
like
way to kick off a
I was
meeting.
like, bro, like why? Like why are we going out of our way to get cannolis and we're going late? And it's like, why? And it's just like, just fucking bring them cannolis, you know? And I realized that like, and I was in the mindset of like, they know why we're there. They know we're salespeople. They're not gonna take it, but they would always be so happy to receive the cannolis. And it's like what you say. It's like about that first impression. It's like they thought about me to bring me something. So, you get all the training you can get all the training in the world, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to when you show up, how are you speaking to them? Are you being a salesperson? Are you just being a normal person? You know?
Right. What I'm taking away from what you're sharing right now is like you learned how to just be a better person in a way. Where it's
Yeah,
like instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
necessarily coming with a strategy, coming with a specific sort of script, it's
Exactly,
just like let me
exactly.
do everything opposite of what other real estate agents are doing so that I can actually leave a mark on them, get remembered. And especially in the whole high ticket sales space, considering you're doing Zoom calls or phone calls, like you don't have the ability to bring someone cannolis. So that's where like the charisma comes into play. That's where challenging them to a higher standard for themselves comes into play, because it leaves that same mark that, you know, bringing cannolis does.
I actually had a call with this guy today, and he's like, he was like very, it was very like confrontational from the start. He was very like, I know you're a sales guy, blah 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, listen, if we can get a deal done, I'm gonna come to Pennsylvania. I'm gonna bring you some cannolis. I just like the cannolis came to mind, you know. So I went back to the cannolis when I needed to. But
Bro, and that's the thing, like, man, like, so many of these high ticket closers out there, like, they're just read the fucking script. They're all just clones of each other. They say the same fucking thing, because it's like a lot of them. You see, like, so many people in the space now, like, they're getting into it with no sales experience,
Yeah.
no life experience, no real like social intelligence or social IQ.
Mm-hmm.
They say the same thing. Oh, hey man. Oh, where are you based out of? Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
How's
let
the
me just
weather?
let me
Yeah.
just, let me
Yeah,
just ask you
yeah,
a couple
yeah.
questions and just give me a yes or no decision at the end of this call, okay? And they all sound exactly the same. And like, you know what I hear a lot on my calls now? It's like, and people say it a lot, but because the space isn't new, right? When people are booking calls for anything, any type of an offer, right? They know what's up, right? They know at the end of the day, okay, cool. I'm hopping on a sales meeting here. You know, I'm going to learn more about their company. I'm going to see what this guy's all about, and I'll see if I can make a decision.
Yeah.
And the thing is, whenever I hear that someone has hopped on multiple other calls before, instantly I'm like, yes. I'm like, amazing. You've talked to 5 other fucking clones who all asked you the exact same questions, who weren't actually present with you and
Yeah.
asking you, good, high quality questions that make you think. I'm just going to be myself, be totally different, try to set this person up for success. And it's just being different on its own, like even like saying something like that, right? Where it's like, that's what's known as a pattern.
it's like silly. It's
right?
fun, you know.
It's a pattern interrupt because someone perceives you in a certain way, right? They have a little bit of their guard up, right? You said he hopped on the call like egotistical and like guard up, and he's like, oh, I know you're a salesperson. Why don't we just get to it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like by you just throwing out something like that, it's instantly you just disrupt his perception of you,
Yeah,
right? And he's like,
yeah.
holy shit, okay, this guy's actually a real human being.
Yeah. It's
know?
it's you know what it is? Like you just have to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have fun on these calls, because if you go in tense, if they're like all tense and like, oh, this guy's a salesperson, and they're like, oh, you're a salesperson. It's like, I'm not a salesperson. What are you talking about? Like you're just going there and you're having fun with the guy. You're having a conversation, and like people feel that. Like at the beginning of the call, this guy was like super confrontational. This is. By the end of it, we were laughing. Like we were both laughing so hard, and I was like, okay, because I was like, okay, the salesperson in me. I'm gonna now I'm bringing it back. I'm like, I'm the salesperson in me wants to rebook you for next week. So when are we gonna be rebooked for next week? And he like, you could tell he hasn't been speaking to somebody like that. He's been controlling every conversation and been like super tense and like, you're not getting a close from me today, blah blah blah. And it's just like, if you go in there and you're like, yeah, I don't care if you, I don't care
Yeah.
if you want if you think I'm a salesperson or not. Like, you're gonna end up going with us anyways. So,
what we spoke about the other day, because people are there's a difference between, we had a full like hour-long podcast, which will probably be posted before this one, maybe after, maybe before, I don't know, but yeah, we did a full podcast talking about the difference between a salesperson and a closer, right? And the thing is like we went out to dinner a long time ago, actually when we were starting MC, right? Because we're putting everything together. We're thinking about the branding, all of that. We asked our server, we were at Ruth's Chris, and we're like, hey, so like, what do you think of, the word salesperson? Like, what comes to mind? Right? And instantly he just throws out like every slur in the book. He's like fucking dirtbag, scammer, XYZ, And it's like, that's just the perception of salespeople. Yeah. And the difference between a salesperson and a closer, and I'm curious what you guys think and what you guys have to add, but I really think it all starts with intention, right? A salesperson is always going to be self-centered, right? They're going to be thinking about, okay, how can I close the deal, make money, use this person just to get a commission, and then never really talk to them after again, right? So instantly people distrust those people, right? And a closer is someone who they put the prospect first, right? They have the deepest intention just to help them, right? And they put themselves last. And, because of that, because of what you just said, like that's why you were able to, neutralize all of that, right? Bring down his walls, get him to chill out, and get back to even ground, right? I think it all starts with intention, and the approach that you take and how you, think about your call and how you perceive yourself, right? And then from there, I think sales becomes a lot easier.
You said something really, really important that I think people don't focus on. It's like how you perceive yourself. Because how you perceive yourself is what you're going to get from people. Like if you don't respect yourself to the maximum amount, it's like you're not going to be able to command that from people. You know what I mean? If you don't like yourself, right? If you're not like super like the person that you are, you're not going to be able to go on a call and just like somebody instantly, because you have to you said it's about intention, right? And if you start the call and you actually like the people you're talking to and you like them and you're trying to help them, it's like they feel that. And it doesn't become a sales conversation. It becomes just a conversation with a person that likes me and wants the best for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? A lot of salespeople, like, they take the approach of, okay, like I need to give this person the biggest guarantee, and I need to sell, and I need to tell them why my thing is so good, and I need to make promises to them, and they take that approach, right? And like at the end of the day, like when you're doing shit like that, like that you're not really helping someone, right? And then so like there's the whole like your perception of yourself and your identity and all of that. But the way in which you sell affects that also, right? Like that's why a lot of salespeople burn out, is because they hate what they're selling. They don't actually care about people. They don't feel like they're making an impact, and it's all just very transactional, right? That kills your identity, and now it's almost impossible to have the frame that you would need on a call to actually be a high performing closer, right? And that's why I think it's so important, ethics, values, standards, and just the code of conduct that you have for yourself, right? It all kind of starts there, and then that translates to who you are on the phone, right? Again, all the tactical stuff aside, if you don't have that, you're just not going to succeed.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Would you say you picked up on that? Because I know you and Misha had that conversation before you got enrolled into the program. Like, did you sense like the internal congruence? Did you sense like the pure intent from Misha when you actually got onboarded?
Dude, honestly, like with Misha, one thing I give you guys credit for is that just the level. I don't know if you remember our call, Misha, but I was sold on it before I even got on the call with you. Like, I was like, yo, I want to be with you. And I think about our call a lot when we started, because I was in a place where if you go back and I don't know if you have it recorded or not, but if you go back and you watch that call, like, I told you on that call, like, I literally had like tears in my eyes. I was like, yo, like, I'm here and I'm doing this. I don't care about, because you're like, yeah, like you can do this, but it comes down to you and the effort that you put. And I remember like looking into the camera, like I came in close and my big ass forehead was taking half the camera, I was like looking and I was like, yo, like Misha, like I don't care about these, like I'm here and I'm going to make this. Like I'm going to do this and I'm going to kill it. And that's like, I literally went in there, like stated exactly what I was going to do, even though there's nothing to point to in the world that ever indicated that I would have any success. But like, it's because one, because of the way you were telling me about what it is that you, the coaching that you do and stuff like that. And I believe that with that and my desire, those two things is like, you know, you're unstoppable at that point. I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as being self-made. You always have to like learn from people who know the industry better than you do. And I just got that feeling from you that you were going to be able to help me. And that's literally what happened. I grinded the script, or not the script.
The
It's
framework.
definitely not that's not a script. You know, it's a framework. I grinded that thing, got an interview, got really, really lucky, got myself an interview within like a week. And the only reason I was able to even succeed in the interview is because of the framework. So it's like when you just open yourself up and you're like there to make it happen, like shit just comes to you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It
And
just comes to you.
I definitely wanted to talk about that because you were talking about how like even without any experience necessarily in this space, like you were able to learn the framework, pick it up quick, hop on the interview, ask a couple questions, and you know the hiring manager's like, holy shit, wow, okay, this guy's got it, right, instantly. So I definitely want to talk about that. But you said one thing there, which I think is really important just with success in general, right? Like success comes down to if we want to be able to accomplish dope shit, like if we want to be able to, you know, achieve great things in our career, financially, personally, whatever, right? Like if we're going to achieve things that we've never achieved before, it's, you know, you have to take actions you've never taken before. And the only way that you're going to take those actions, like doing the shit that scares you, you know, taking massive leaps, we all know that stuff is required. But the only way that you'll ever do those things is, you know, when you have that kind of a vision, right?
Yeah.
When you have full confidence in yourself and you just know that you're going to get to where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
It all starts there because once you have that, now it's like, okay, cool. You have the confidence to go and take risks, take jumps, and do the things necessary to go and get that result, right?
That self-belief is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said for you, but so yeah, obviously real estate was crazy, especially in Canada. I can imagine over the last year, right?
It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
So it's like you were kind of at a place where it's like you're coming off a couple solid years, you know, like you knew you had to do something new, and you knew you had to, you know, try different things, right?
Yeah, because I made fucking amazing money, but I'm not like, I've made so many stupid decisions with my money. It's like unbelievable, man. So like I had to learn everything. Like I'm 65 years old basically because I've lived so many lifetimes and made so many mistakes, and like but like everything is good. There's no such thing as bad things. Like if you just live in a state of like gratitude, like something, there's no such thing as a bad thing that happens. Like okay, I put all my money in some stupid shit and I lost it. But is that a bad thing? If it's a bad thing if I let it like destroy the rest of my life. But it's a good thing if I'm like I learned and I'm like
Yeah.
at least I don't have kids, you know? I could have made this mistake. I'm on calls with people who are fucking throwing in their life savings into scams and shit. It's like that's never going to happen with me because of what I've been through. So it's like just if you're in a state of gratitude and you're always grateful for your life and you're just grateful to whether it's God or the universe or whatever it is that you have that you believe in that keeps you grateful, there's no such thing as like bad things. It's just like good
Have
thing
you-
after good thing.
Have you always had that mindset, or is that something that you feel like you've developed?
I feel like I always had that mindset because like even when you're from a place like is like a war country and there's no really difference between you and those people. It's like they were just born on the other side of the street, you know? So like some kid that's like stuck in a war-torn country right now is stuck there because they were born on one side that they couldn't get out, their family couldn't get out of, and my parents could. So like there's too many blessings, like there's just too many things to be grateful for. I don't really think about it. Like it's just like obviously like if you can, have you ever seen somebody that can't walk? Like that's like do you ever think about you're grateful for your legs? Like how often do you think about that? Do you ever see somebody that doesn't have thumbs and how hard it is for them to do basic shit? Like there's just a million things to be grateful for that I don't even understand how you could. Obviously everyone has moments of like feeling sorry for yourself and stuff, but it's like you just have to put shit on a leash. It's not like you're never gonna be ungrateful. It's just like okay, I feel like the way I do things is like I'll feel sorry for myself and be depressed sometimes. I'll be like, today I'm gonna feel sorry for myself. I'm the most saddest person in the world today, but it's like tomorrow that's back to business. So like I'm gonna feel sorry. I'm gonna give myself a day to be a fucking little pussy and be depressed. Like I'm gonna give myself today, and I'm gonna sit and play Marvin's Room from Drake and just feel sorry for myself. But tomorrow it's like you gotta get back to business. You know?
Yeah. No, and
So-
you got to have that ability to compartmentalize the good, the bad, and the ugly. And
Yeah.
especially in sales, if you let the call before or the day before affect your mindset and your approach, you're screwed.
Exactly. You just have to. It's just about experience. Like I was talking to some guys from the program, and a lot of guys are young, and they've been doing like role plays for so many months, and they're not finding that they're confident. It's like it comes down to doing more outside of just because now you're comfortable. Now you're just comfortable doing role plays. So you always gotta find the uncomfortable, step out of a comfort zone. That's the main thing. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure even with you guys, like even starting this, it's like every week you guys are probably dealing with some new uncomfortable shit that you have to, or a new thing that you need to climb to overcome. So like it never stops. That mindset is like forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
That's something that Dylan talks about, and especially with what we do and the amount of responsibility that we have. Your success comes down to your stress tolerance, right?
Yeah.
And your capacity for stress and responsibility that you can put on yourself, and like if you want a big life, you got to be able to take a lot of stress.
You said it. You said
know?
responsibility, right? That's the main thing. It's like for you to really grow, you have to start accepting responsibility for things. Like if you're just focused on yourself and you're living with your parents and you don't have anything, like you need to start forcing responsibility upon yourself. Like I want to contribute to the rent. I want to contribute to this. Like you need to force discomfort on yourself and responsibilities. Like because we don't live in a world where it comes to you. It's like you have to go out and almost seek pain to grow.
100%.
You have to go out and seek it. So like if you're insecure with like your fitness, it's like you have to go and sign up for a class that's uncomfortable. If you're insecure with your communication, you have to go and work at the mall and start talking. You know what I mean? You just have to force it on yourself.
And you did all those things, right? You accepted the responsibility right from that first Canadian Tire credit card gig.
Yeah.
But I can tell you clearly accepted responsibility for your success, within the high ticket closing space. Like, what was your first 10 days like in the actual program? You mentioned you were grinding out the course, doing role plays. Like, what were you,
Dude, I
what
was
were you
just
actually doing to see that sort of success?
my first 10 days. I remember I was just like I just genuinely like learning, and I don't have an ego with learning. Like I'm Ali Salam, the realtor. I did this, but it's irrelevant. It's really, really irrelevant. And I was just enjoying the stuff that I'm learning, because the thing that I really like about you guys is this is how I was thinking about you guys. It's like, in the military, there's like the Marines and there's like the Navy SEALs. It's like you can be a good salesperson without training or anything, but you're just like a regular soldier. But it's like when you're in the Navy SEALs, it's like you got to take it that extra step, because anybody can make 10K a month as a salesperson, but how do you get to like the 20, 30K a month? It's like, now I felt like, okay, now I'm learning how to be a Navy SEAL, because I'm already a good salesperson, but how do I take it to the next step? And I was just taking in what you guys were saying, and it's like everything is there. It's common sense, but it's about why you're actually asking those questions, not about memorizing what to ask.
Right.
Why are you saying those things?
Was there like a light bulb that went off, or was there like maybe something that you believed about sales and just maybe just the space in general that like shifted in those first few days working with us?
I think like the thing is that I the light bulb that kind of went off is that everybody is like, when they're fully comfortable, like even the most insecure, shy people, when they're with like their friends and they're applying the framework in their regular conversations. Like when you're fully comfortable and fully relaxed and fully confident, it's like you're the best salesperson in the world already. So the thing that like the light bulb that flickered with me is like, this is something that we all do, but it's about like consciously applying it on every single sales interaction, as opposed to doing it in a way where there's no structure. You know what I mean? Because it's just the framework is just how to have a normal conversation and understand the person you're speaking to.
Well, I think what it is, the whole like 10-step framework approach that we have, right? Like we and even since day one, right? Like we would give someone a script on like just their first day, just to read, just because that's the fastest way to get them on the phones. But at the end of the day, like if you're looking at that script for longer than a couple days, like, there's a serious problem,
Yeah.
right? Like especially in our industry and honestly in every industry, right? Like with the way the world is right now, with the amount that people are getting marketed to, you have to take a different approach on your calls, right? So at the end of the day, it all starts with just bringing down someone's resistance, right? Getting to a level of trust,
Yeah.
right? Once we start there, it's like, okay, great. Now we can actually figure out, all right, where are you now? What are your goals? What's the gap? Why aren't you there yet? Okay, like let's come up with a solution here, right? But I think the 10 steps is really built out in a way where okay, yeah, like you're going through a process, you're going through a proven framework, that if it's done right, it's going to increase urgency, prevent objections, where you can have an easy sale.
Yeah.
But most importantly, because it's a framework, it allows you to just be you and be who you are,
Yeah.
be authentic, right? Because if and that's the biggest thing that really we have to train, and I think that's the biggest thing that people struggle with, even salespeople. Like we've worked with salespeople who come from like tech sales, whatever. They're making 150, 180, 250 a year, but the biggest thing that they get caught up on is just they have two personalities, where it's like, this is my sales
Yep.
personality and this
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
me
yeah,
in
yeah.
real life, right? And the biggest thing that we have to train them on is like, hey, just lose that, right? Just
Yeah.
be who you are, be natural, be curious, and then add in some steps here, right? And I think in your case, you picked up on that really quick. A lot of people don't, right? And a lot of people even treat the framework like it's a script.
I think
Yeah.
what people need to do is they need to focus less on the actual like words of the framework and the questions and like why you're asking those questions. And I think when you come from a sales background, maybe you see the power of that a little bit quicker because you've had so many sales interactions, and you realize how understanding those things about your client helps you get the close. So maybe the sales background made me realize that, wow, this is really, really great. But just focus on like why you're asking what you're asking, why you're getting the objections that you're getting. Like just what you guys say, basically.
It sounds like that was a light bulb moment. Like, because, like, from what you were telling us about real estate, with, like, just being who you are, being yourself, embracing yourself, you already came into this sort of sales training and high ticket sales space with the understanding of, hey, like, there is no difference between me in real life and me in sales.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
once you came here and you had that underlying structure that we taught you, it just allowed you to have more just down to earth conversations with people, but still have those conversations be effective and efficient because there was that underlying structure and because of the work you did beforehand
Yeah.
to bridge that gap between sales and who you are in real life.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you said it perfectly in the mastermind. It's just structure. It's the way we all talk all the time. We're all applying the framework in some shape, way, or form in our regular conversations. But when you just have it organized and you have a plan, it's never gonna be perfect where you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, it's never gonna go perfectly smooth where you can go through everything. But when you at least come in with a plan of how you want to structure the conversation,
Yep.
that's the main thing. It's just structure.
Takes the guesswork out of it.
Takes the guesswork out of it, and it doesn't you for somebody like me, who says the first thing that comes into my brain, like, at least it lets me focus on just having a process from start to finish. You know what I mean? So
How did you apply that process on the interview with the opportunity?
how did I apply that process? So mostly that was, like, I would say, during a role play. Like, he wanted to do a role play with me, and
Got it.
and just kind of seeing how I would do, which I used the framework, obviously. And I think he's like, oh, I like how you. I never thought about pain. Like, you don't think about. I never thought about pain points before, but I was sticking on the pain points during the role play stuff. Like, he's like, yeah, I like how you stuck on pain points, stuff like that. But it comes down to something you guys talk about a lot too, right? It comes down to conviction, and that was the thing that I think he hired me with, because I leaned into the camera, forehead blocking half the vision and everything. I was looking at him. He's like, why should I hire you? when I could hire people with more experience and stuff. I was like, yo, like, you're probably gonna talk to people with way more experience than me, way more qualified than I am. But I like the way I said it, man. It's like when you say something, you mean it. It's like people can feel it. You know, I was like, so like you're not gonna hire nobody that's like as as hungry as I am, and that wants to do this. It's like I'm not even gonna start perfect with you. I'm telling you that right now, but I'm very coachable, and like no matter who you hire, you're not gonna get somebody like me. You know, and I said that like meaning it. You know, like I meant it on the call, and he felt that. You know, and he felt that, and he's like, I want this guy. He literally hired me on the spot. He's like, yeah,
Nice.
come for a second interview, but he already like. I know he hired me. I knew from that second he hired me on the spot. You know, I knew I got the
Nice.
job right away. So that's what it is. It comes down to there's certain things like conviction, things like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, and it goes to show, right? Because a lot of people think that they, I think a big thing that just holds people back is they're like, oh, well, like I don't have any experience, so like it's gonna be hard to get started,
Yeah.
so like I'm just not really gonna give it my all in the first place, right? But it's like, yeah, it's like you came in, you had real estate experience, but in the high ticket space, like absolutely nothing,
Yeah.
right? And just because you hopped on a call, you demonstrated a couple important character traits when it comes to being a closer for a team. You showed that you actually know your stuff, right? Just like that, you get your opportunity, right? And I think in your first month, because you're on a team, there's a few other closers,
Yeah,
right? Were you just basically the top guy your first month?
So like my first month, 50K cash collected from second half of July to now we're at the second week of August.
Yeah,
So it would be 25K for
July.
July, and then 25K so far. Well, 30K in August. So last month, no, I wasn't at the top of the leaderboards. This month so far, I am way ahead. I had a good start. I have a big goal for this month. So
What's the goal?
I want to go for 100K. I think it's doable. It's tough. I'm still like I think it can be done, but I don't see why I can't do it.
Yeah. I think as a closer in this space, 6 figures a month in revenue. That's where you need to be, no matter what you're selling, right? Any offer that's doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at your numbers. It was when you sent it to me, it was pretty clear. It was I'm gonna pull them up, but show rate and close rate is a little bit low, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Well, first off, I mean, what do you think? Like, were there any memorable sales, or like, was there anything that you feel like you
Yeah.
just came in and you just got down right off the bat that allowed you to,
Maybe some nasty objection handles.
There was one sale, dude, that I loved. I loved it because everything was set up from the start for me not to get the sale. They had 2 other meetings booked.
Those are the best.
Yeah, they had 2 other meetings booked. They threw every objection at me in the book, and that's why I messaged you right after, because I was like, yo, Misha, man, like I was thinking about you because I just heard you. That's like the value of the calls that you have with your team. I just heard you say somebody said like, oh, I don't feel comfortable right now, and you're like, okay, what's gonna be different next week when you're ready to make a decision? Like you're gonna feel the exact same way. And I remember like when she said that to me, she's like, I'm like really nervous right now. I didn't really know what to say. I just thought about what you said, and I just said it. Just because that's what comes when you just trust the process. You don't even have to think. You just know that is a good response. So I just said that, and just kind of paused. And I remember they just went quiet, and I just went quiet, and I just like sat there, just like. So you guys ready to rock? And then the guy, the dad, the husband, like looks at me like he's so fucking like impressed. He's like, all right, let's do it. So I was like, that was like my most memorable, and like,
nice.
and they wanted to talk to other people and everything, and I was like, garbage. Don't talk to those guys.
Yeah.
I was like, you're gonna make 30% a week, yeah? Like you're gonna make 30% of your returns every single week. Like, does that sound reasonable to you? They're like, no, just so like that was probably my most memorable call because every objection, everything that you guys train us to do, that call was like, from start to finish was everything that you guys train us to do. That's why I like that call.
Paid in full?
The way it works is like you pay a deposit on credit card first and wire the rest, but yeah, paid in full.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much is the offer, by the way?
So minimum package is 10K, maximum
Nice.
is 20K.
Nice. And it's cool how you say that, because the thing is, yeah, like at the end of the day, the way I learned sales, man, was just by hearing Dylan, hearing Amaan say some shit on calls, and I'd be like walking by and like hear them say something. I'm like, damn, like that was fucking good, and like it just sticks in your mind,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
then when you get in a similar situation, it comes to mind, right? But I think that's why proximity is so necessary, right? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
closers, being able to work remote is cool, but it's like if you're just stuck in your fucking condo
Yeah.
and you're not really exposing yourself to people who are at a different level than you, then you're not really going to grow because you don't even know what that other level looks like. You're not even exposed to
Dude,
it.
that's why I say like that's why I'm like really grateful for you guys because people don't really understand the the value of access. It's like you have fucking access to like Misha, Dylan, Aman, Rome, all these guys. You get to ask them a question every single day. It's like how are you not coming anytime you have a question in your mind, how are you not asking that question just like that's everything and that's like how's knowledge passed down through our histories
Questions.
by me telling you. It's like you have access to somebody across the world for some people doing exactly what you're doing. It's like how are you not coming every single day with questions from the you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and listen, bro, it is what it is, right? Like what we do is, we've been in the space now for a very long time. We've essentially crafted a formula of how to train someone up from scratch, get them up to standard, get them closing, get them increasing their commissions, right? It's like
yeah.
we've done that with literally hundreds of people, right? So like the whole goal behind what we do is like, hey, here's the roadmap in front of you, right? Like here's exactly how to do it. Like it's not easy. It's gonna be fucking hard.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
Yeah.
moments where you get down on yourself. There's gonna be moments where you're really high, but it's like that's what it is, right? So like the whole goal behind what we do is just to, well, especially for individuals like yourself, we want to attract guys who have those character traits, who have the intangibles that can't be trained, right? And then just plug them into a system that's already working, right? And if that happens, then it works every single time. But like that's really the goal is just like there's stuff that has taken me and him on like years to learn,
Yeah. Yeah.
like certain things when it comes to intention on a call, like
Yeah.
no one really said, hey, like if you really just think about your prospect's success and only their success, you're going to close more.
Yeah.
No one really like told me that in my first couple of years, like I had to figure that out, from trying to take like the super hard closer approach,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
not working out, to detaching myself from the sale and just being there
Yeah,
to
you
help,
said it.
and
You
then
said it.
I
Yeah.
figure that out over years where someone else can just start working with us and I just say, hey, just take this approach. It's going to work better
Dude,
for you.
dude, the cool thing about what you guys teach is that's the stuff that you guys are saying, detaching yourself from the sale. It's not even just about sales. That's just life in general. It's just detaching yourself from outcomes in general because that's why I like sales as like just a metaphor for everything in life. Like you can use it for everything in life because not every workout is going to be your absolute best workout. You're not going to show up on every call and be at your absolute best. You're going to have calls where oh man, I could have said this, I could have said that. I'm sure even you guys have those calls every now and then. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a metaphor for you can always improve in sales, you can always improve in everything else. And as long as you're not attached to the outcome and you're just enjoying the process and you're getting
Yep.
better and better,
Yep.
it's like just literally like just take that framework and first of all apply it to yourself, like challenge yourself, like dig deep on your own pain points and fucking get yourself
your
to
why.
get yourself to build that relationship with yourself first, and then watch how easy it is to do it to other people. Because
Yeah.
you can't do it to you can't get somebody to open up about their pain points when you're like hiding
Yeah.
who you are as
Yeah.
well. It's like you gotta figure yourself out first.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
deep, man.
Yeah.
What Misha just said, and like I had a similar experience. Like someone sent me a message actually from the program where they're like, "Man, like I'm just gonna take a break from all this because I gotta like dig deep on myself. I gotta understand what my grandiose big vision actually is, so that when I'm actually learning, when I'm actually role playing, it's not just for the sake of doing the motions, but it's understanding like the deeper why
Yeah.
behind everything. And if you don't ask those questions to yourself, you'll never really be able to ask your prospect those same powerful, direct questions that are going to influence them
Yeah.
to completely change
And the way
the
you say it
trajectory of their
too.
life.
Yeah, and the way you say it. It's like two guys can go up to a girl and say the exact same thing, and one is charismatic and she likes him, the other she feels creeped out by him because just the way you connect, you say that thing, right?
The energy, bro, the
Yeah,
aura.
exactly.
Real.
It's like when you ask somebody about their pain points, and you've like been through some shit. It's like different than somebody who's never experienced any hardship. Like it doesn't come across the same way.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
So once you got on the offer, I guess like kind of walk us through like your first month. You shared that memorable moment, but like the amount of book calls you were getting and like kind of just like the flow of what the life of a closer was for you compared to
Yeah,
the whole real estate.
especially just starting out on your offer right off the bat. What was that like?
um you guys are asking like just in general, like the schedule and how many calls I'm getting, things like that.
Yeah, like how was the transition from like going from you spent training with us less than a month, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we're still training and we're still working with you. That isn't
A lot of
but-
lot of training to do, bro. Honestly,
Yeah.
a lot of training.
for sure. And we'll talk about that. But like yeah, like transitioning from learning this brand new thing to actually doing it live, getting thrown onto a calendar for your first few weeks. What was that like?
I don't know why. I liked it from the beginning. Like it wasn't uncomfortable for me. Like all the business that I did in real estate was over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like the weirdest transition for me. It wasn't hard to get on Zoom or anything like that.
Nice.
I guess like little things. Like one thing you told me, Amaan, that like my first week that because I watched some of my old calls, and I remember we were doing like a role play, and you're like, "Yo, Ali, instead of saying just replace it with silence." It's like little things that we take from you guys, and you guys tell us, "Yo, start doing this, start doing that," whether it's you, Ramsey, whoever, and kind of went off a tangent to be honest about what you asked me, but yeah, the transition was not hard at all. It's kind of weird not being busy. I wasn't getting too many calls in the beginning, but as he started to see that I was like getting better, booked me on more calls. I'm on a lot more calls now, but it wasn't like crazy. It's like maybe 1-2 calls a day. So I wasn't like I was working like an hour, 2 hours a day in some cases.
Nice.
So but that's why I see the potential in this. Like, what if I'm making calls 8 hours a day every day? You know what I mean? It doesn't even feel like work too. It's like every single call, it's like you're excited to go on the call. So
Yeah, if you quadruple the amount of calls you take,
it doesn't feel like
theoretically speaking,
work.
you'd probably quadruple your income.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work. I literally was thinking about this today. I'm like, I didn't have any booked calls today. Some guy in the morning was like messaging in the CRM like, "Oh, I want to do it today." I was like, "Yeah, you want to hop on like 20 minutes?" Because like it doesn't. It's like you're waiting for like you want to go on calls.
For sure. The
So-
availability is everything.
Yeah.
I know, especially for me and Misha, like working on the weekends helped us get that much more ahead compared to our competition because it's like, hey, I'm available.
Yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
want to buy? You want to book a call? You want to answer
Yeah.
or you want to ask a couple questions? I'll be that person to, square that away and then close them.
Dude, I've never in my life had availability 7 days a week for anything that I've done. But this, I'm open 7 days a week. I just want to get on calls, And you can have a day where you're only doing 2 calls a day, 3 calls a day, like,
So what do you think? Because I'm looking at your stats here that you sent me the other day. Close rate, at least.
They were a lot better for
as of
this
that
month.
date. Okay, good. What do you think is like the next step for you? Like what's kind of like the biggest needle mover for you right now to get to that 100K a month mark? Do you think?
I just take it day by day, man. Like, just get better every day. I like I said, I don't. A big problem that I've had in my life is sometimes I aim too high right off the bat, and just like set this big goal from the start,
Right.
and just like, okay, if I don't hit 100K this month, what am I gonna do? Just go into like depression? It's like, no, that's why I take it day by day. Just as long as I improve every single day, or I'm able to apply something better every single day. Like, even though I had a call this morning and it wasn't a close, I loved that call. That was one of my favorite calls because just how I completely shifted the energy to like laughing and fun at the end from what was very tense because I had zero attachment to the
Right.
close. So it's just getting better every single day, just day by day, get better, take the actionable steps that you guys give us. Like every week, we get on a call with you guys, and you guys are saying, try this, try that, and it's just
Right.
getting better on a day by
Let's
day basis.
let's talk about it, but because I agree with you. I think a lot of people, like, you're told, oh, set a goal, it should be big, 10x it, whatever, right? But I think the problem is like, and maybe the reason why people don't set those big bold goals and they don't feel comfortable setting those kinds of goals is because, one, you don't even feel like it's possible, but two, and more importantly, is like, just people just focus on the outcome, right? I want to be
Yeah.
able to close 100K this month,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm gonna write this down on my paper, and I'm gonna say it in the fucking mirror every day that I'm gonna close 100K. But like, that's not gonna help you, right? Just saying you want to, just having a goal isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
That's just the first step. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned about goal setting, because I think goal setting is a skill,
Yeah.
and it's something that I've gotten, I went from really bad at to really good at.
Okay.
Whenever I set a bold goal, I'm breaking that down into action steps, right? So like, the way I'm looking at it, if I were you, right, I'm looking at, the number you sent me on Sunday, right? Out of 22 people who showed up, you closed 4, right? What I would be doing is I would be analyzing these numbers. Okay, out of the 18 that you didn't close, how many of them were qualified, right? So like, I don't know, would you say 50% were unqualified?
See, it's interesting you say that because I didn't even think about that. Like what you're saying.
That's one, right? It's like, okay, 18 people weren't closed. Let's say 50% were qualified, right? So that means that there was 9 closing opportunities there that you didn't necessarily close, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So like, out of those 9, what was the most common objection, right? Like, what was the thing that you heard? Maybe there was one thing that you heard with 4 qualified prospects that was all identical, right? And then all I would be doing, literally to double the close rate that you had, all you have to do is just figure out that one objection, right? If it's a trust thing and you're finding that a lot of people at the end of the call, they're like, yeah, send me an email, send me a contract, send me the numbers, I'll look at it, I'm just not really sure right now. You're like, okay, this is clearly a trust thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, early call, what can you do to create that trust more? Right? And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now your next level, for you to get to 100K a month in sales, now it's like, just telling a story early call that's a banger that instantly builds trust. Like, that would be your action step, right? Like, I would look at it like that. And then when you look at it like this, it's like, now you can pretty reasonably see how you're going to get to 75K or 100K,
Yeah.
right? Is when you look at it like that. Does anything come to mind that, like, you hear over and over on your calls that you kind of struggle to overcome?
Dude, you said it. Like, first of all, that's amazing advice. Thank you for that. I think there's obviously there's some people who are just financially unqualified from the get-go. Those are just
Yeah.
people, but we're not talking about those people. We're talking about people who were qualified, but maybe they didn't have trust for me or for the program or whatever. I think something that today, for example, he was kind of questioning me about the trust and everything. I was because he's not very well known, the guy that's running the program, and you're asking for a lot of upfront with a wire transfer as well. So if you get scammed, like, you can't get it back, right? So I've been spending a lot of time just making them see how absurd it is not to trust me, because I'm like, okay, what specifically do you not trust? It's like, oh, I don't trust the company. It's like, okay, but do you do business with companies? Do they usually show you, like, your company registry? Is that something that normally companies do for you? It's like, no. It's like, you kind of show them that. I'm like, oh, we've been in business since 2019. Don't you think if we were running off with people's money, you'd have seen the trust pilots start to add up?
How's that approach working out for you?
It's getting a little bit better. Like I said, I really do have a lot to learn. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm getting better and better because of the way I'm just getting better at making them say it. Because before I was noticing, like, I was telling them, like, no, you should trust me because this is our company registry, because this is this.
Justifying. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly what we talked about. I was justifying. And in the beginning I was justifying a lot, and now I'm getting better at just something you do, Misha, very, very well, and even you did on our call, is just asking them questions and almost making them feel silly for even asking that question. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you don't trust me? It's like, well, what specifically do you not trust? Oh, well, whatever, you know? And then I just come back with like, oh, well, does it make sense to you that we would have Trustpilot for 4 years and we wouldn't have a single person calling us a scam? Like, does that make
Yeah,
sense to you? You know, stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, because you're going for the like the head-on approach, right? And I think, yeah, like to some extent, you know, that can work. But I think at the end of the day, is it's the same thing with like objections or pain points. There's always a surface level, and then there's a core, right? There's the reality of the problem or the doubt or the uncertainty, right? So I think when it comes to building, you know, trust on a call, but because yeah, like when we're talking about high ticket sales and closing massive packages on the very first meeting, you know, number one is creating a level of trust and
Yeah.
complete certainty, right? I think yeah, like you could do some of that. What I find when it comes to building trust, I think there's really two approaches that are powerful, right? I think one i- is really taking that authority frame, right? People trust authority. You know, when you step into a doctor's office, like I don't know about you guys, my doctor that I've been with since basically day one, my family doctor, he's like a hardcore Russian dude. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
used to have like a couple bulldogs in his doctor's office.
That's
He's
dope.
like no fucking nonsense, like intimidating guy. Like I used to
Yeah.
be like scared of him as a kid, you know? But like at the end of the day, like I trust that guy with my life, literally, you know, because
Yeah.
he has that level of authority. So it's like I think about that on sales calls also, right? Like to create a level of trust, a lot of people will think that, oh, to create trust is I have to, you know, get friendly with this person. Oh, you're based out of there? Oh, no way. I have family that lives there. Oh, no, that's not real trust, right? Real trust is when people have confidence that you're going to help them get to where they want to be. And the only way that trust is created is you know, having that authority frame is through, you know, introducing tension, right? And
So,
and
so
in
can I ask you?
moments,
Can I ask you something?
yeah.
Because that's something that with you, I study a lot. Like when I look at you, that's one thing you do very, very well. Is like your authority when you're on calls. Like all of you guys do that very well. But with you especially, like, so do you find that? Did you find that your ability to display more authority on calls kind of came with the momentum of the success and like you were starting to close a lot of deals? Like, did it increase as your success increased, type of thing?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this first off, right? Like that used to be a huge weakness of mine. You know, is I used to hop on calls and, you know, yeah, I would feel the need to justify. And then someone would say, "Oh, so what makes you guys any different?" And I'd be like, "Oh, well, like here's what makes us different," you know. And then I would essentially bend over for my prospect. That's what we call it, right? And you know that used to be a huge weakness of mine. And you know, yeah, at a certain point, you know, I just made a really conscious decision to change that. You know, again, it starts with intention. It's like, hey, you're here on this call for a reason. You have a problem. I have the solution, and my business is literally built to help you solve this exact problem that you have.
Yeah.
Right? So like any like, you know, lack of respect or weird questions or like just weird behavior from my prospect, like I just don't really tolerate it out of good intentions for them,
Yeah.
right? Because I know
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
help them. Does that with the, you know, success, does that help with authority? The thing is, authority comes from and especially in this context, right? When someone's showing up looking for a solution, that the authority comes from certainty, right? Where it's like if I have a prospect who I can just see a limiting belief in, right? Maybe they've been doing research for 10 years, trying to find the best guru to work with, but they couldn't find them, right?
Right.
It's like I have full conviction and certainty, obviously, that just watching videos and being in a research mode isn't going to get this person to the result that they want. The only way that they're going to get the result that they want is if they flip the switch, get serious, and start moving with massive action. And the thing is, the certainty, it's a scale, right? It's not whether you have certainty or you don't. It's to what extent do you have certainty? To what extent do you have conviction in certain things? And that's where, especially when it comes to the personal development side and aligning your personal actions with your goals, it's like I just know for a fact that for me to get to where I'm trying to go, I understand the level of action and grind and the things I need to be doing every single day to get there. And the other side of it too is like, yeah, I have seen the results, right? So when I'm on a call with my prospect and we're talking about that, yeah, absolutely it helps,
So so correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to, if I was to take the main takeaway from what you just said, it sounds to me like you're almost validating your own authority by doing the shit that you need to do every single day.
Exactly.
Like,
I remember when I first started selling and that's exactly what it is. It all starts with the internal, everything. When my first like week selling on Ty Lopez, right? I was selling, stuff at like 3 to 5K, B2C type offers, right?
okay,
In multiple different industries. That's what I was doing before, right? Whether it was e-commerce, stock trading, I think we did some agency stuff. We did a few different offers. I found out I was going to be hopping on Ty's offer basically the Sunday before, right? Dylan tells me, yeah, so Ty's relaunching his mastermind. It's high ticket. There's a full day of book calls tomorrow. You're going to be on it. You're going to be dealing with business owners, selling them a $25,000 offer. And especially me, I think at the time I was probably like 20, 21, and like I'm pretty mature for my age and all of that. I wasn't a little kid, but like, I definitely still had a lot of room for growth
yeah,
just
yeah,
in my
of
life,
course,
right? And yeah, like that was, my thought process is like, hey, if I'm going to sit on these calls and I'm going to deal with, 7, 8, 9 figure entrepreneurs, like I got to get my shit together. I need to be someone that's worthy of respect from these people,
yeah,
So like that's really when I got really serious with, the wake up time, with the day-to-day habits, with, reading and learning, because I understand that, to the extent that I personally develop is the extent that I'm going to succeed with sales and influencing higher level people. So yeah, 100%. It all comes down to the day to day,
For sure.
increasing that conviction in yourself and what you're all about, right outside of the sales call, so that when you're on the sales calls, you have it.
And
I
something I want to add to that, like that authority and that sliding scale, what that does, because most people in sales, like they have a fear of losing the sale.
yeah,
So then they do everything, by the book, so to speak. They're being a relationship builder. They're bending over backwards, thinking that it's going to lead to a sale. But once you get rid of that fear of losing the sale, you're able to be a lot more authentic. You're able to be, we have that saying, right? ATV, authentic, transparent, vulnerable. Like, especially you and me were talking yesterday on a one-on-one call. Like, you were telling me a little more about your manager, yada, yada, yada.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like, seems like he kind of instills that fear of losing the sale. But it's like, once you get rid of that, instead of being reactive, if someone says, yeah, I don't trust you, the industry, the program, you'll be proactive. Because you'll
yeah,
be able to sense all those objections of trust that they give you at the end. They hint towards that throughout the call. And what Misha just said, you'd be able to pinpoint, hey, he said this, so he shows me he lacks trust in industry, me, or the organization I'm representing, and then you can actually overcome that accordingly.
I think it's like what I like about what you guys instill into your students at the end of the day is like, it's like you said, it's that one word, internal. It comes down to internally what you think about yourself. Anything that you want to do, if you want to be able to transfer it on the sales call, you have to be able to hold yourself to that same standard. And for you, it's being able to be an authority to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you see yourself as an authority because you're treating your life like it's being like a life of authority, you know? So
The question I asked myself a long time ago, which like honestly like changed my life, was, you know, and obviously life is not all about financial, right? But
yeah,
that's kind of the metric that I use. But it's like, hey, the version of myself that's making $1 million a year, like, what is that person doing every day?
yeah,
What are that person's habits? What are that person's thoughts? Who does he associate with, right? What's he doing on a day-to-day basis? And I asked myself that question when I'm making like a few grand a month, you know, And I'm like, okay, so like, cool, like this person, he's waking up at a certain time, right? He's taking in a certain amount of information. There's a lot of things that he's not doing that I was doing at the time, right? That was holding me back. And I just looked at that. I wrote everything down on a piece of paper, and I was like, okay, let me just implement all of this stuff right now, and essentially step in to that version of myself, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens is when you step into the version of yourself that's getting the result that you want, you end up attracting that result,
Yeah.
right? And I think it all started there.
What you're saying, I want to add to that, because even when you're asking people, when we teach everyone to, or we're taught to ask about where they want to be, but we're also making them understand the consequences of where they don't want to be. That's actually like a big psychological tool. It's like the concept of like heaven and hell. Like you can't just have a goal of where you want to be. You have to also ask yourself, what if I keep these bad habits? Where am I going to be in 10 years? What if I don't stop these addictions or whatever it is that you're dealing with? What does my life look like then in 10 years? So you have to have both. You have to have you can't just have something to run towards. You also have to have something to run away from
Because
when
that's
you're
what
setting
helps you with your
goals.
decision-making
Yeah,
process, right?
yeah. So I imagine you also looked at yourself like, what if I,
Oh, for
what
sure.
if I don't do these things?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with me?
Like what's crazy to me, and like something that every single year that I've been in sales, I've made more money.
Yeah,
I've gotten better. I've managed more people. Every single year. And yeah, it's like imagine being in a performance based environment where you have complete control of your result, and years go by and you don't get better, and you don't see a bigger result. You don't make more money. Like what that means is you're just wasting time.
yeah,
Like you're literally just staying stagnant.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, that's just not acceptable. And I think about that on a macro level, but I also think about that on a micro level, right? Like day to day, like here we are on a Saturday shooting this podcast, because we're trying to grow what we're doing. We're trying to get things out there, and it's like every single day needs to be improving, needs to be getting better in some kind of an aspect.
yeah,
And then, yeah, in the big picture, you get the result you need,
yeah.
you know?
I agree. I agree.
So what's next for you, bro? I mean, okay, you're like a month in. We wanted to get you on the podcast because we knew you'd have some good insights, and we knew it would be a cool conversation. But like,
I hope it was.
yeah, I mean, what's the next 6 months, man? Like, what's kind of going through your head? What's your thought process? What do you think?
Like I said, I like to look at things
Day by day.
day by day. Just keep getting better, because I know what's inevitable. If I'm getting better every single day, and I am getting better every single day, does that mean I'm gonna be making? Yeah, I'm gonna be hitting 200, 300K cash collected every single month. That would be the goal. Obviously, I think it's possible. I don't see why not. When you have a combination, I'm just focus. My main focus right now is getting better in a way that I can see that I'm getting better. Not just like, oh, I'm getting better, I feel better on my calls, but like, how is the quality of my conversations? How's the quality of my questions? Just get better, bro. Like
I think
without thinking about it too much, just get better.
I think it's really important, and with all the people that we've worked with who've like seen a instant result where like they jump on an offer, they double triple their commissions in their first couple months. People who move through the training typically faster than others is they're extremely intentional with their growth, right? So I think that's what it should be for you, right? Like a lot of people, they, it's like, okay, you have a good day, bad day. You say, okay, that wasn't a great day. Definitely could have been better. Then you have a couple ideas of what you could have done better. It's not totally clear. Maybe you get a little bit better, but the intention is really what just fast tracks your growth, right? Like the stuff that I was just talking about, like I would be doing that on a week to week basis.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at, okay, like what was the biggest objection that I got? Great, it's this. That's submit a call recording. We'll look at it. We'll sit down one on one, and like we'll get to the bottom of it. Okay, cool. Next week, like let's try this approach. Let's try to do this on every call, and like let's look at the numbers. Let's see, did it work? Did it not work? Okay, cool. Let's make another adjustment, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really the cheat code, is just getting intentional with the growth.
What I like to do is I like to identify things that like and stick on it for a little while. You know what I mean? Like I remember now that we're kind of talking about it, I remember this week my goal was to not not believe the objections so much, because at a certain point I would just believe
Yeah,
them, be like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, let's reschedule.
Right.
And I realized that I'm like, okay, I'm letting them, like, I there's one that bothered me because she was like, I think she was like right there, and then I let her go, and it's like, wait, why the fuck did I let her go? I thought about that, like, right after I'm like, okay, bye, yeah, we'll talk soon. Hung up. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why did I just hang up? Like, why did I believe her that I had her? And I think it's just about constantly. It's like you said. What I like about your approach is it's about like identifying exactly what it is that you need to grow on, and there's so much to get better on, and there's so much to grow on, that I think what I'm trying to say when I say
Yeah,
day by day
yeah.
is just hammer out one
One
thing at a
for,
time.
for sure.
Like
For
one
sure.
thing at a time, because at first it was just like my communication was off.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the way I talk, the confidence. It's like, don't say okay, there's an actionable step to get better on for my next 2 calls. Don't say okay. I didn't say one time in my past 2 calls. I think I can move on to the next big thing, handling objections with more confidence, getting the trust. So it's like, that's what I like about your guys' approach, is every time, whether it's this podcast, whether it's one of your coaching calls, is you guys give real, it's not just like, yeah, go out there and kill it, man. It's like do this, A, B, C. So
yeah.
that's what I'm definitely just focus on one thing for a few days. Once I feel like I got that under control, move on to the next, but don't move on till I address that one thing, because I understand what a weak foundation is. I don't believe in getting. I don't want to get to, like, let's say I get on like a crazy offer, but my foundations are weak because I just went over all of them quickly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm grateful for my early success, but I'm seeing it as a foundation building time period. You know what I mean? Build those strong foundations, so when I do come across that opportunity to be making 20, 30, 40K a month, I actually am able to perform at my best and not
Yep.
focus on just
We have this
fixing
thing at
stuff.
the agency. There's different sort of reps, right? There's A, B, C sort of reps. If you're a C or B caliber rep on an A offer, A tier offer, well, you're gonna get smoked.
Yeah.
And it's like laying down the foundation as a C level rep, and then working your way up to a B, B plus,
Yeah.
and then A. Yeah, once you find an opportunity that actually will give you the amount of lead flow that will allow you to hit whatever commission goal you have, it's like, because you did that,
Yeah.
you solidified the foundation, the internal congruence was there and is there. Boom.
Yeah.
The money will come.
Yeah, it's about how you speak to yourself at the end of the day. Like, you should, like, I can acknowledge the good month that I've had. I can acknowledge how great it was. I can also acknowledge that I need to improve, but not to get too focused. Like, there's way more in the future to work towards, and it's like just building the foundation, like you said.
For
Sure.
sure.
Well, listen, bro. I mean, like, over the short time we've known each other, it's like we see what you're about, bro. Like, your character traits and just the overall the way that you approach this, like, it's awesome. We've just seen so many salespeople go in and out of the space, right? There's always
Yeah.
people who succeed and there's always people who don't, and like, it's pretty easy to see how someone's going to do just based on like who they are. And I think Amaan would agree with me that we know you're going to crush it. We know you got a big future in the space, and like, especially being local, bro. You're literally like 10, 15 minutes away from our office. Like, we got your back with whatever, bro.
Appreciate that, man.
For real, like
I know you guys do.
what we do, it's like we've just been in the space for so long. It's like we're obsessed with this. We live and breathe this shit, so we're trying to put people in positions where they can do it to the same level that we've been doing it for the last 5 years, because it's given us so much, so I think yeah, bro, there's a lot of takeaways from that conversation. I think this is going to help a lot of people who are just stepping into the space, or people who are already in the space who need to get to the next level.
Yeah.
For sure.
Any final words before we wrap this up?
Just thank you to you guys. Thank you to you. I got to speak with Ramsey a lot. I really like Ramsey. I like everybody in this program, and I think if anybody out there that's watching and they haven't, come on board with Millionaire Closers, there's no price tag in the world that when there's real value, there's no price tag to it, you know? So take advantage. If you want to get into this space, get around some people that are doing it for real, showing up every single day. One of you guys is showing up to have a conversation with all the students every single day. There's nothing like that out there. I'm telling you. There's nothing like that out there. So take advantage and come aboard. Millionaire Closers.
For sure, man. Appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And appreciate you hopping on, man. I know you got deals to close, so
Yeah,
we'll wrap it up. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Channels for more sales training is linked down below. Check it all out. Let's level the fuck up. Let's make a lot of money before the end of this year. And let's get it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
See you at the top. Let's go.